Happy Halloween, Colorado State University. You're watching CTV News, and I'm Stuart Smith.
And I'm Litos Castro. Let's dive into everything in the world of news. The anniversary of marijuana being legalized in Colorado is coming up this week, and we decided to check in on the CSU community to see how they feel about the past years here in Colorado.
As the 5-year anniversary for marijuana legalization approaches, we decided to talk to members of the CSU community to find out how they feel these past 5 years have gone.
I think it is mostly positive. I don't see anybody getting addicted to it, and it's more recreational and people get relaxed.
With many hoping the tax money collected would be put into education, the largely debated topic had many wondering if the benefits would be worth the legalization.
People are going to be buying and selling and smoking weed anyway. Might as well make it legal since it's not harming anybody. Put that money into the state.
However, with new changes comes new concerns from the citizens.
Since it's been legalized, a lot of other drug use has been increased.
While it doesn't look like any changes to the law will be coming anytime soon, one can only hope that any problems that present themselves in the future will be solved promptly.
As the anniversary gets closer, we encourage everyone to stay safe if participating in the celebration.
Racist graffiti and a mannequin head covered with Nazi symbols were found in a dumpster enclosure near Moby Arena on Saturday. According to an email sent from Colorado State University's public safety team, the mannequin was found in a dumpster area not visible to the public, and CSU Police Department does not believe the event targeted any special individuals. This event is another reported bias-motivated incident on CSU's campus this fall. Previous events included a noose outside of Newsom Hall, a Snapchat of a student with a Nazi symbol painted on her arm, and a defamatory wireless network and the words "Hail Hitler" written on a Jewish student's door. Anyone with information about the incident is asked to contact CSU PD at 970-491-6425. Students who are impacted by this incident or need support are encouraged to reach out to the CSU Health Network's counseling services. Last week, Mike Pence visited Denver for a private event and had quite a few protesters. This was the scene outside of the Marriott at the Denver Tech Center on Thursday as Vice President Mike Pence arrived for an event to thank the Trump campaign's major donors in Colorado. During his speech, Pence promised to his donors the biggest tax cut in history and, in the wake of various Republicans going against the party, also stressed the importance of unity within the GOP. Outside, in the 35-degree weather, members of various left-leaning political groups along the Front Range, led by Indivisible Colorado, stood, chanted, and cheered in protest of the current White House. Outside of the Marriott, there are at least 70 women dressed up as handmaidens in protest of what they consider to be Mike Pence's attacks on their reproductive and just generally female rights. Here's two representatives from One Colorado and Planned Parenthood.
We're letting the administration know our concerns with their policies and that they're rolling us back and taking care away from women and LGBTQ folks that's really needed, and we've come so far, and it's really sad that they're taking us back. So we're really concerned with the decisions this administration is making to create barriers to things like birth control. We're also concerned that we've seen targeted attacks on Planned Parenthood in our funding.
One of our biggest concerns is when Mike Pence was the governor of Indiana, he actually signed a bill to allow businesses and individuals to discriminate against LGBTQ people and claim that their religion is the reason why, and now those viewpoints are in the White House under him and Trump.
As Pence rode by in his motorcade, which Denver police closed down the streets for, he made no visible or public acknowledgement of the protesters. For more information, visit www.collegian.com.
Halloween weekend, or better known as Hollow Weekend, is many college students' favorite time of the year, but authorities typically deal with various crimes throughout the city. This year, was a typical Halloween weekend, according to Dustin Weir, Fort Collins police spokesperson. The department responded to 9 party-related calls on Friday into Saturday with 2 citations and 27 party calls from Saturday into Sunday with 1 party-related arrest. Weir stated that it may be busier than your typical weekend, but not by a whole lot. And it's hard to say whether it is all Halloween-related or if the CSU football game attributed to some of that. There was nothing that was particularly out of control or crazy. CSU's public safety team sent an email to students Thursday warning students of increased student conduct issues in the days around Halloween. The email warns students of consequences that include alcohol infractions, sexual misconduct, including sexual assault and uninvited touching, physical assault, vandalism, false IDs, obstructing a police officer, and public urination. In regard to Halloween tonight, the Fort Collins police anticipate that college students will go out and have fun. But remember to stay safe out there, Rams.
Welcome back to CTV. I'm Nicole Parra, and I'm here with a group of students who released a Black Feminist Manifesto on campus just last week. So thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So tell me about the Black Feminist Manifesto.
So the Black Feminist Manifesto is sort of our blueprint for how to address diversity and inclusion at the university level using a Black feminist praxis.
It's also an archive of us, our ancestors, our foremothers, the communities that we grew up in, and we dedicate it to the women of color on campus. We dedicate it to people of color who are, you know, struggling to stay afloat in academia. And so through our words, through us writing from the trenches of our intergenerational pain, from our lived experiences of racism, of sexism, of homophobia here on the campus of CSU, as well as out in larger society, we reveal that to the world, and we hope that people are able to find something in the manifesto that they're able to hold and allow that to carry them through as they continue on their journey.
Yeah, there was 9 of us who wrote it, 10 of us who are referenced, and then a faculty who helped us throughout the entire process. And we pretty much, it started from going to a conference in Atlanta of words. It was literally after the anthology that is taught, that is used in Black feminism class. And we went there, and as a product of going to this conference, the 10 of us that were left came together and we created this Black Feminist Manifesto. And basically from May until October, we were working on this manifesto and writing it and editing it and coming together every weekend for about 2 to 4 hours every weekend from there throughout the summer into the school year.
And talk to us about the release party, because the release party was last week. So how did that go, and what did you guys do at the release party?
Okay, it went better than we ever could have hoped for, because we were stressing, for real.
So we had this release party basically to honor our donors. So we raised $6,000, over $6,000 to go to Spelman University for the conference, which inspired the manifesto. And so it was really for them to reveal the work that we've been doing, and then also for students to kind of get a taste of the work that we've been doing. So we invited our donors, and we invited mostly Black students to come and witness the work that we did.
And so the overall presentation was comprised of us doing an introduction to honor our donors, and then we went into us honoring our descent lines in terms of who has influenced our work. And then we move into 3 pieces. I did a piece by Alyssa Harris called That Girl. Tahani did a piece by Kai Davis called Ain't I a Woman, and Ratu did Audre Lorde, Litany for Survival. And what we received is beyond words themselves, and it was just a really magical space to be in. And you know, it was an entry point for all of us in terms of us developing our own voices and really putting ourselves out there and pouring back into people who have poured into us over these years being in college.
And talk to us a little bit about the term Black feminism and what that means to you. Why is it important, and how is that different from feminism, from white feminism, from all these other types of feminisms that we see?
Right. Well, Black feminism is, first off, I can talk about the differences first. The differences from white feminism is that white feminism tends to be monolithic. It looks at just one type of woman or one type of story, which is usually the story of white women, and it does not include women of color, it does not include trans women, and it also doesn't include men and how they can engage with feminism as well. Black feminism is truly an intersectional perspective about how does race, class, gender, sexuality intersect with one another, and how heterosexism, racism, sexism, classism, and all these other things and fall into affecting our bodies, because and understanding how these systems affect women of color and trans women of color and their bodies does give tools and perspective actually how to understand how these systems of oppression affect all bodies. And so that's kind of like a little tidbit of it.
And is there anything that you really want the CSU community to know, your allies to know, your colleagues, the people that you're in class with, about your work and what you guys really stand for?
So in the manifesto, we have a few chapters that specifically address faculty and staff and administration at CSU and the ways in which they contribute to kind of creating a climate that supports racism or supports white supremacy as an alternative opinion instead of an unacceptable one, and kind of continues to perpetuate these oppressive systems that fall on all of our bodies. We also address students and higher affairs. We address all kinds of people in the manifesto. And so we hope that people read it and that they engage in Black feminism and that they become critically engaged allies and change some of the things that are happening around on campus. So the noose incident and the all hail Hitler and all of these racist things that are happening around campus aren't being addressed because we're being informed by neoliberalism, which is something we critique highly in our manifesto. And we hope that the manifesto will force everybody, including students, to address these issues in ways that are critical and that actually get to the root of the problem.
And also I would say to our students of color and to those who are critically and actively engaged in doing this work with us, alongside us, we see you. We exist, we out here, we're making moves, and I would offer that pain can be a resource, and it can be something, it's so important to utilize pain as a way to propel you forward and to interrogate it and to embrace it at the same time and understand that it's important to make meaning of it. And that's really what we've done in this manifesto, is we've bridged our pains, our sorrows, our depressions, and so forth, and we've created joy out of them. And you know, that's something that we want to give to you, and so yeah.
All right, well, thank you guys so much again for coming on the show. I honestly learned a lot from going to the release party and interviewing you guys, and I just want to say thank you again for sharing your stories with us.
Welcome to CTV News. I'm Marlo Lundak.
And I'm Sunday Miller. Here's what's happening in the world of news.
An environmental panel was held earlier today, and we had Aaliyah Gorelick on the scene.
This Thursday, CSU hosted a panel at Avogadro's Number, talking about how we can measure environmental sustainability. Here's what panel members had to say about the event.
To focus more on sort of the broad plane of what is sustainability and what are the multifaceted aspects of it that we need to try to measure.
I'm on the panel because I work a lot looking at land use systems and greenhouse gas emissions from land use.
Here's an inside look at the event from earlier today.
We're going to need bright young people that have skills and education and understanding to tackle it. You know, it's not going to solve itself.
I'm here at Avogadro's Number for the panel hosted by the School of Global Environmental Sustainability. Here, panelists will be talking about the importance of community members getting involved in the discussion and staying informed about climate change, because in order for change to happen, it needs to start on the local level to have an impact. Even doing little things like riding the bus or taking your bike to school and work can have a significant impact on reducing your carbon emissions. It's also important that we stay casting votes for state and local level officials that promote environmentally friendly policies.
These panel discussions are a part of a Managing the Planet series. They are free of charge and open to the public. For more information, visit sustainability.colostate.edu.
This is one of many events that Fort Collins hosts regarding sustainability.
It's valuable to get involved in grassroots efforts with the community, as this is the first step in tackling climate change on a larger scale. After a string of burglaries early Wednesday morning, police caught and arrested a suspect who reportedly caused the impacted businesses $250,000 in damages. The perpetrator reportedly drove a stolen vehicle into multiple businesses to steal money from the inside. Police finally tracked down the vehicle and caught the burglar, Evan Bizzanetti, as he tried to flee on foot. Two faculty members at the CSU Department of Health and Exercise Science, Karen Hamilton and Ben Miller, are authors on a paper about the correlation between massage and muscle growth. Hamilton stated, for instance, if you injured one leg and couldn't massage it because of that injury, we now have evidence suggesting that massaging the other non-injured leg could lead to benefits in the injured leg. This treatment could have many practical and important applications in the world of muscle regeneration. During last night's ASCSU meeting, the court decided associate senators will not be allowed to vote on the impeachment procedures. The impeachment committee announced that an individual has been removed from the committee due to violations of those impeachment procedures, and asked Senate for an alternate on the committee if any other issues do arise. The Senate then opened the floor to nominations for the impeachment committee, and two candidates were chosen, Ken Smith and Kat Crowdis. After their presentations, the Senate discussed and debated the candidates and ultimately chose Kat Crowdis for the position because of her neutrality. The Senate also passed a motion to not have an alternate position in the impeachment committee after all. The CSU Department of Anthropology made a big announcement this week.
Paleocene, Eocene, Oligocene, Miocene, beautiful.
The Anthropology Department is welcoming their very first PhD program focusing on place, space, and adaptation. The program has been in the works for years and is expected to help students be successful in a wide variety of careers beyond college.
It's unique because we are infusing the curriculum with geographic methods and topics. So the anthropologists we train will have a unique perspective on traditional anthropological topics. They'll be able to use perspectives and toolkits from geography.
The program is one of just 2 or 3 others in the country. The department is planning to accept only 4 or 5 master's students for this hands-on unique graduate program.
On record, we have to see by people.
The program is believed to position the department forward-facing to address 21st century problems.
We're the disciplines that allow students to understand the significance of diversity and to study human cultures and their distribution in space and time so that they can, work in our global environment.
For more information on this program, you can visit anthropology.colostate.edu. Dia de los Muertos, also known as Day of the Dead, was celebrated on Wednesday by CSU students.
Students filled the lecture room in Clark for the annual Day of the Dishes event hosted by Sigma Lambda Beta International Fraternity Incorporated. The event featured a presentation by Dr. Ernesto Sagas, a professor from the Ethnic Studies Department, and traditional food was served.
To disseminate the culture and educate people what Dia de los Muertos is. It's not the day after Halloween, it's not just a day where we cook food, but we actually honor people, and through the presentations we hope that people learn that it's not just a one-time thing, but it's an event that's brought through multiple days.
While students learned about the history and traditions of the holiday, they were also able to respond to the cultural appropriation of Halloween costumes.
It doesn't hurt my feelings or make me feel bad about where I come from or who I am, because I haven't really seen it.
Some students see it as an offensive act.
The problem that people just paint their face I'm dressed as a Dia de los Muertos person. Okay, that's not a character, that's something that we can't do, or we can't just make fun of or just be dressed up as if you have no significance behind it.
CSU's Hispanic Cultural Center El Centro is hosting events for those who celebrate Dia de los Muertos or want to learn more about the holiday. Visit elcentro.colostate.edu for more information.
What's up, Rams? My name's Ryan Christ, here on another fantastic Thursday, bringing you all the latest and greatest in entertainment news. So let's jump right in. Betsy DeVos, the head of the Department of Education, was saying seatbelts, everyone, because this past Halloween she went as Miss Frizzle, which is totally a fitting costume. I mean, don't we all remember those great episodes when Miss Frizzle told the students that she was excited for huge school budget cuts? Now, when this photo was posted, a lot of people, including public officials, saw her costume and they weren't happy. Representative Mark Buchan said in a tweet, Unlike Betsy DeVos, Ms. Frizzle supported science in the classroom and actually had a background in education. Tim Ryan said the difference is Ms. Frizzle saw the value in quality public education. At the end of the day, though, we have to admit that her Miss Frizzle costume was pretty good. And who knows, maybe she'll pick a more realistic costume and go as Dolores Umbridge next year. As we all know from Tuesday's newscast, Kiara Coles talked about Jay Beebe and Selena Gomez being spotted together. Well, on Wednesday morning, these two were spotted riding their bikes together in LA and were looking very affectionate towards each other. According to E! News, a source claims that nothing is official yet, and we shouldn't even call it getting back together. They are two completely different people who are in a completely different type of relationship. However, Selena's friends have been noted saying she is better without him. While this public reunion between the two pop stars was a long time coming, it all started when Selena was going through her surgery over the summer, and Justin was a constant support system for her during this time. While we have no confirmation on their relationship, all we can say is, I guess it wasn't too late to say, I'm sorry. With Halloween being on Tuesday, I decided to take a look at a different style of trick-or-treating. This past weekend, 2 fun Halloween events were going on at the Lee Martinez Park Farm. The first event was Bow Wow Vania, where dogs got to dress up and go trick-or-treating.
Like, wait, I would have taken that. Proving that you can't do that.
So yeah, they come in, you get a treat bag at the door, it's pre-stuffed with some goodies already. You buy your ticket in advance, we sell them here at the farm and a couple of the recreation facilities. And you get your bag at the gate and trick-or-treat at about 13 storefronts. There's some displays if you want to do some cool photo ops, and out you go. It's just fun. They get dog bones instead of candy, of course.
And these dogs had some great costumes.
Do it later. All right.
Then, later that night, kids got to go to the second event, Treatsylvania, where they could trick-or-treat for candy.
Boo to you! And boo to you!
Happy Halloween!
Thank you, thank you!
Trick or treat! Trick or treat!
Trick or treat!
Break my door!
While this event was for kids, parents ended up loving it
So
too.
I think it's really cute, just all of the houses that they have, especially with all these little kids. It gives them kind of the feeling of, I don't know, almost a little bit of practice, you know?
It's safe too, which is kind of nice because a lot of you never know when you're walking through random neighborhoods if you've been there before or whatever. And a lot of times it seems like people don't necessarily participate anymore, so it's nice to find people that really participate and have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well done.
But family friendly.
Take this off?
Yeah. I guess that's what Halloween and trick-or-treating is all about. But
Okay.
yeah.
Trick or treat!
You say Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!
Treatsylvania and Bow Wow Vania will be back next year in case you missed it. Whether you're ready or not, everyone's favorite TV drama is coming back for a new spin-off. That's right. Jersey Shore, that show from like 5 years ago, got a brand new spin-off known as Floribama Shore. And looking at the trailer, this show looks rather interesting. This drama will take place where the sands of Florida meets Alabama. This show, of course, will feature 8 housemates getting into all kinds of drunken shenanigans. This show will air on November 27th, just in time for us to wish we were all at the beach. And who knows how this show will do. They don't have Snooki saying, "I'm not trashy unless I drink too much." In April, U2 made a guest appearance on Kendrick Lamar's song XXX, and yesterday it was announced that Kendrick returned the favor by lending this rock band a spoken word outro on their new song, Get Out Your Own Way. As of now, we have a piece of it from Spotify, which if you want to listen to, type in Get Out Your Own Way on Spotify. This is not the full song, as we can hear by it cutting out at the end, and the full song as well as the album will be released on Friday, December 1st. Now, I am joined here by Alec Erickson. Thanks so much for being on the show, Alec.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about this. You know a lot about music. So what do you think of this song? Of course, you've heard it. So
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting song. So it's U2's latest attempt. It's coming off their 14th studio album. So they've been making music for a long time. They've kind of gotten to this comfortable arena rock vibe. And so that's what they're going for with this. And you can see it with how it starts out with this chill kind of bass vibe, and it builds up and it builds up, and finally we have this massive chorus for the entire time. And so then it gets to this intricate, but it was very scripted guitar solo. And I thought it was very interesting. It was a great way to do the outro, and then Kendrick Lamar comes in on the spoken word. And it doesn't quite fit, I would have to say, because it's very gospel-esque. He's talking a lot about God and religion, and yet it doesn't fit with what everything else U2 is talking about during that song. And so it's kind of this weird mix-up. Obviously, like you were saying, it cuts out, so we don't actually have the full song yet, so who knows how the rest of it goes, but it's kind of this weird experience right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I was listening to it, I was actually expecting Kendrick Lamar to rap or do something like that, because, you know, that's what he's known for, but just kind of at the end, it sounded very weird. It sounds like he just was like thrown in there after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seemed like it wasn't planned to me, you know. It seems like he was just in there to kind of be in there, since they were in his song, of course.
Yeah, and kind of like what you're saying is like U2 played a very massive role in XXX. Like U2 was the chorus for that song, and so they had a very large, prominent role within that song, and the rest of Kendrick's album was mostly comprised of features, and so Kendrick knows how to collaborate with other artists, and he knows what he's doing, and so it seemed kind of weird, and it almost seemed forced in a way where U2 kind of returns the favor, and they're like, hey, we want you on a song, but we're going to throw you at the very end, no music, you're just going to talk, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to rap, you're not going to do whatever it is that you do best, you're going to kind of come in and be like, hey, here's my latest thoughts on kind of religion. And it's almost like a very Bible verse kind of thing, taken straight out of the Bible, but it's kind of weird how it was kind of played out.
It was really weird, and I also heard, after doing some research on this song, a lot of people are expecting that maybe he'll be in for another verse, and that this might be a longer song than the one we've seen on Spotify. What do you think they're going to do with that?
So I don't know if I agree with everyone that thinks it's going to be much more of a longer song. It's already just short of 5 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
It's already a pretty heavy song, and it does what it needs to do. It has a build up, it has a release, it peaks and valleys at a couple of moments. And so it does a lot, and so I don't think it can go much longer than maybe a few more verses. Who knows? Maybe, I'm guessing if the full song gets released, it's 6 minutes, maybe 6.5, but they can't go much further with what they have, especially if it's spoken word, because the music's done at the point when Kendrick comes in. There's no music behind him whatsoever. It fades, and then Kendrick starts coming in and just talking, and so it's kind of this weird spoken outro, and it's supposed to be one of the earlier songs in the record, and so it's kind of this weird pacing thing, and I'm more worried about how the structure of the rest of the record's going to go at that point, if that's what they're going to have in the middle of the record.
I agree. I feel like the people who are saying that he might come back in, that would just be weird to have all the music cut out, come back in, and give him either a rapping part or another spoken word verse, which would just sound weird. The song did sound pretty complete with his part in there.
Yeah, it's mostly complete, and the thing is with U2, they don't like to experiment with their sound. They are not very experimental now with their age. Like, their experimental age was way back in the 90s during some of their like 5th and 6th studio albums. They got really space rocky there for a while, and they've just found their soul in arena rock. Like, they are still selling out arenas, and that's kind of the style that they're going for. And so collaborating with a rapper is something that seems out of the park for them, and I can tell that this seems like something they weren't willing to risk too much.
Yeah, they definitely felt forced. What do you think they could have done to make it better? Like, how could have they used Kendrick Lamar and actually made him have like an impact in this song?
Honestly, I think Kendrick could have been utilized better if he came in earlier. If he had a part earlier in the song, either if it was on a pre-chorus or a verse, like something earlier than a spoken word outro to a song, even if it was the spoken word intro to a song, I think it could have had a bigger impact, because a lot of fans that are listening for Kendrick, they're not going to probably stick out that whole 5 minutes. But for some people, it's kind of this weird thing to hear Kendrick not rap. And so that's what he does. He's a rapper, and so we want to hear him kind of get out there, spit a few lines, but that's not what happened in this case.
I agree. I was tempted almost to fast forward to like, because I was wondering like, okay, when is he going to come in? Like, but I listened to the whole thing. But anyways, thank you again so much for being on the show, Alec. I really appreciate getting your perspective on this.
Thank you, Ryan.